So nice to be with all of you. You know, I remember the very first year, the very first Real Truth Conference, the year before, Stephen and I sat on a very cold winter night outside of a hotel I was staying in after doing conferences. And he suggested the idea of doing this so we bring unadulterated, honest, and pure truth to the worldwide public. And lo and behold, the next year in Long Island at the university, Anna Marie and I kicked the first Real Truth Conference off. And after 40 hours of speaking about different subjects that we've learned over our combined 100 years, we said to Stephen, let's get some more people. And he was wise enough to do that. And you're seeing some of those extraordinary people that I consider leaders in the field of healthcare, people who have experienced it on the front line, and more important than anything else, they don't hold back. Today, it's all about what not to say, not about what to say. And we all have to applaud Stephen Shore. This was his idea. He followed through. There's been thousands, tens of thousands of hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars placed into this for the benefit of humanity. So let's start with that. Now, today's lecture is warm to my heart because in 1970, the very first year I stood up and gave a health lecture, it was on the immunity, your immune system. And let me tell you, you should be really lucky you weren't there because I didn't know nearly what I do today. So we're going to actually start by explaining the immune system to you. You hear more about it today than you've ever heard because of this 19 fiasco. The first time the general public heard about it, it was way back when the AIDS epidemic started in the 1980s. The average person never thought about immunity at that point and basically didn't even know what it was. And today, I'd say 95% of the people I speak to do not understand what the immune system is. So here we go. The immune system is an amazing, 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 amazing invention by nature and the universe. It is actually the way that you prevent aging and disease. And it happened over evolutionary time, pre-human, right up till today. And the remarkable part of this story is that it all starts with an invisible little cell we're going to talk about later called the stem cell. Now, notice the subject title, Immunity IQ. Now, all of us know that people who are relatively intelligent or more intelligent than the average person usually succeed better at life. And the same actually holds true when it comes to these little remarkable cells, the armed forces. Now, what makes them intelligent is nurturing. Just like a child who's nurtured by loving parents actually have a better chance in school, a better chance in life. So they actually are loved and fed and protected and sleep and have a great environment. Well, the immune system is just like that little child and requires the same exact thing. Its intelligence grows. But today, you can suspect what I'm going to talk about. Most of us don't have that mom and dad taking care of us, that we're burning candles on 5 ends, forget 2 sides. And we see the results here at Hippocrates, the oldest organization on the planet Earth in the progressive and lifestyle medicine field. We actually, every single year, see younger and younger people coming here with significantly larger and more complicated diseases. Over the 5 decades that I've done this, we start to see new diseases we didn't know about a year ago. And more of this is happening. 25 years ago, I was a keynote speaker at a major medical conference, and a very, very important man from the U.S. government's investigative research department of medicine whispered in my ear and said, every day, 365 days a year, we discover about 200 maladies we cannot identify. That was 25 years ago. I can't imagine what it is today. But I can tell you, this is what we're living in. But unfortunately, it's much different than it was. Parents' generation and grandparents' generation. Further from the earth than we've ever been. We're closer to death than we've ever been. Even though they try to lie to you and tell you we live longer than we've ever lived. That is a falsity. It's a major falsity. Now let's start by describing the immune system. You've heard the term innate intelligence. All of us have an innate intelligence, but we don't tend to use it. It's an instinctual intelligence. Well, you have an innate immune system. When you are exposed to any form of infection, be it a virus, a mold, a yeast, a fungus, a parasite, a bacteria, the list goes on. In the first 96 hours, it's this extraordinary, innate, frontline immunity that fights it off so that it doesn't come in, infect you, and you die. Because that's the end result if it doesn't fight off a significant amount of this. The time response, once again, is less than 96 hours. The cells here are natural killer cells, macrophages, neutrophils, dendritic cells, mast cells, basophils, and eosinophils. Examples, for instance, of this are the skin, the hair, the cough, mucous membrane, etc. And when you start to look at how this evolved over millions of years, it's remarkable. It's what got me to start to believe that there's a higher intelligence. All of the spiritual training I was given was dogmatic and ritualistic. The scientific realization that this occurred was more revealing than all of that put together to me. The adaptive immune system is your second line of defense. After 96 hours, the small amount, hopefully, of the bad guys that now seep into the body are going to be dealt with the adaptive immune system. Now, let's hope both of those are strong. Once again, let's go back and reflect, because you've rested them, you've nourished them, you've hydrated them, you have less stress in your life because you have good environmental surroundings, you have good relationships, you love the work you do. All of these are significantly important in supporting this extreme army that's there to protect you and save your life and slow the aging process. These cells are the T cells and the B cells, and we're going to get back to them a little bit later. Examples, this is where you really start to see the immune system, is pus, swelling, redness, pain, the T and B cell lymphocyte response, as we call it. Now, let's really look at history. I think one of the problems we have in medical education today, be it natural or mainstream allopathic, is we only look at specific sciences specific to disorders. When I broadened my view of reality is when I started to study natural history. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the immune system was fit and prepared to conquer the microbes, viruses, bacteria, spores, fungus, molds, yeast, and organic compounds that we face daily. Ecosystems were balanced. The bird ate the bug and the bug ate the bacteria, and all of that was symbiotic and harmonious. And that's the way the world was from the beginning of time. The amounts of these potential nemesis that were there, our body's immunity could deal with. Then what happened? Did we have a revolution or did we have a degradation? Well, I think the second. A couple of hundred years ago, the birth of the Industrial Revolution. Oh man, this was a horrible time. You didn't even know it. You weren't there. But your great-grandparents were there, great-great-grandparents were there. And that's when a handful of the elite said, hey, we don't have enough in our castles. We don't have enough servants. We don't have enough land. There were land barons at that point. Let's create factories where we can take what used to be farmers from organic farms, pack them in there, put their families with 10 children in stamp-size apartments in downtown London, and then New York and France, and it went on and went on. And let's create products so we can sell it and become even more wealthy. This is when we started to pour poison into the air and the water, compulating the manufacture of man-made chemicals, of which every single year, there's 2,000 brand new chemicals that did not exist just 1 year ago, that now pour into the environment with hundreds of thousands of other chemicals that become tens of millions of chemicals we have yet to identify. There's no environmental protection agency on the planet Earth that even does one little fraction of what they should be doing to oversee all of this and to protect you. Never has been, never will be. As we see, politicians recently are diluting the environmental protection for their own profiteering. The gross mining and implementation of heavy metals from that mining, and the enormous energy requirement to run these factories of death, that's what I call them, factories of death. As we're going to see, they compromise the immune system, is what started the destruction of the delectable balance between plants, animals, maintained throughout all history. So everything went perfectly fine for millions of years. Homo sapiens showed up about 11,000 years ago, and only 200 years ago, thanks to the Brits, I still love you, we started the Industrial Revolution. Very rapidly, the United States of America became the industrial power in the entire planet. And guess what? That's where we got our economic power from. We had great land that we could grow food and export it, and we had the industrial strength of the United States public here. And we became the epicenter of disorder because we had more air poison, we had more water poison, and we had more environmental poisons.